I love you, you skinny Hebrew.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to discuss the Martin and Lewis Colgate Comedy Hour episodes. I'm Kaylee, Classic Cat. My friend Kayla.
Hi.
I've got my Dean and Jerry background going on here from their
I see that.
radio episodes, but uh, how long have you been watching Colgate Comedy Hour episodes? Because mine, it's like 10 years now. And
I remember watching them on the Disney Channel in the 90s.
In the 90s? Yeah, I don't think I didn't have cable back then in the 90s, so.
Or wherever it was. I mean, like the late 90s. It was like the late 90s, probably.
Oh, so maybe like they reran it because Colgate.
Well, obviously they reran it.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not from the freaking 1950s. How old do I look?
They had him in like the early 90s is what I'm saying. Like that's
Well, what do you consider the early 90s? Wasn't it like 1994, I guess? I don't.
yeah.
The 90s roll into one big blob of
Yes.
90ness to me.
90ness?
So, yeah.
It was like,
but they used to air them on, I think on CBS on Sundays? Was it Sundays? It was one of the days on the weekend.
Yeah.
They also used to air them on CBS. If you had it at a certain time, there was
on Sunday nights, I think it was, because I remember you telling me in like 2014 or wherever that they were on. But yeah, like they were on the Disney Channel when Jerry had sold the rights to Disney to do like those golden age of comedy episodes. It was a 5-part special, and then they had the Colgate Comedy Hour episodes that they would play alongside that. So that was like from 92 to 94. So
yeah, I think it was something like that.
So they reran them in the late 90s. That's why.
I think they did. I think they did because I remember seeing stuff on Disney Channel, and I didn't have Disney Channel in the early 90s. So it must have been, and it was at night. And when I say at night, I probably mean somewhere around like midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like 8 years old watching this, but I do remember them on basic cable when I was young, because I only had basic cable until I was like, I don't know when we got, I think it was 10 when we finally were able to afford past that. So I saw them all. I don't remember when the first was.
Yeah, so I was on YouTube, and then I'd already been into Jerry's solo work, and then I think I saw Living It Up. I'm not sure if I saw the movie. Well, I know I saw the movie like previously, like years before, but like when I had started getting into Jerry's solo work, then on his biography special is when I saw like excerpts of the Colgate Comedy Hour episodes, and I was like, oh. So I checked those out, and then my life was changed. From then on, my life was changed. So for those of you, I mean, if you're checking out this special that we're doing right now, you probably know that they did Colgate Comedy Hour episodes from 1950, so September 17th, 1950, all the way to their last episode, November 13th, 1955. So most of those, the 28 episodes, were hosted by them. Other people hosted in between, and they also guest starred. One with Phil Silvers in 1952, or I think it was 1952, I believe it was, and their 100th episode, which was everybody. So there was Abbott and Costello, there was Bob Hope, there was a whole bunch of regulars on the show that they all did one show together, 100th episode anniversary. They imitated Abbott and Costello during rehearsal, during dress rehearsal, and there was kind of like a diss moment because Abbott and Costello, well, I mean, they did their act, and then Dean and Jerry were like, their act, who wants it? And then they decided to go off on a tangent of basically doing Abbott and Costello's act. So I would have loved to have seen that, but I think that episode exists, but this was the dress rehearsal. So I mean, I don't know what they, that was something else. So I would have loved to see the dress rehearsal. And then, of course,
dress rehearsals for just about everything.
Yeah. What other naughty things did they get away with during dress rehearsal? Or yeah. And their other guest episode was they replaced Lou Costello, who was sick, for an episode. That one actually is on my YouTube channel in secret. So if you want the link, message me or just comment below. Or anyway, then there was the lost episode, which is, I think it's the only one that's lost. It's from October 16th, 1955, where they were at the Hollywood Bowl. So only Jerry's home movie footage exists of that. So, and that information is in the side-by-side book. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis on TV and radio. This is by Michael J. Hayde. And I'm also mentioned as a contributor in that book for both photos and some reunion, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis reunion info. So check out that book on Amazon and just it's different places online, but mostly Amazon. You can find that one. But yeah, so like that book, it has like all the information for Colgate Comedy Hour episodes. So we're not trying to discuss in detail every single episode during this. We're here to talk about our favorite episodes and the naughty moments.
Well, like I said, I was talking before, and I said the episode where Jerry plays Dean's wife.
Nobody really talks about that episode. Jerry puts on a wig and well, okay, so Dean is seeing Jerry everywhere. So he's seen him on TV, he's seen him in his thoughts, he's seen him, the dog is Jerry. Yeah, the dog is Jerry. Jerry is now Gene Martin. And then, so that part where Jerry comes out in a blonde wig and is like, hello, darling. And then the part later where Jerry is now Dean in the mirror and they're like, Dean is trying to shave. And that's like one of the most hilarious moments on the show because they're not really following each other at all and they're trying to match each other and they're just like failing.
And they're failing epically over it. I also really love the gym workout sketch. Yeah. That I feel like was one of the first ones. I don't know why. Just I feel like it was one of the first ones I ever saw. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I think that. I might be totally off, but that one stands out in my head. Like I think of them and I think of that.
And that's one of their first episodes too. So like that That one. Oh, that's the one where Dina's like, "Why don't you take your clothes off?"
Clothes off.
I don't even know you.
know you.
And like people are like screaming in the audience.
Yeah. So that's a naughty moment, and that one stands out. Like I think of that, and I think of that episode. That's like, I don't know.
It
That's
was like when it's funny because when they're like Jerry doesn't have any muscles, but he kind of like he's really skinny, like he has skinny muscles because I mean he has defined muscles, so they try to play it like he didn't really have muscles, but you know, for a skinny fellow, he was kind of, you know, he had muscles and he could do things like I think it was the one there was like one episode, I don't know if it was the gym one where like he does like the flip upside down. It might have been the gym one or the Tarzan.
Oh.
The Tarzan one is kind of similar to the gym one.
Yeah.
Now the Tarzan one where he's in between the guy.
All those men.
Really muscular guys, and he's like his face is like next to their butts, crotches,
and loincloths.
Loincloths. Yeah, that's pretty. You know,
I still I have a vivid
like they're like
see his face.
They're like basically grinding in that. They're basically grinding in that one part. Like they're all squishing Jerry and they're like grinding, or he's grinding into them. The whole thing is just very homoerotic there.
Homoerotic, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, my favorite episode, well, is the one where the dinner sketch where everything goes wrong, and then there's the turkey that falls on the floor and rice. I don't even know if it was rice. I don't know what it was. Fell on the floor, and then Jerry's like scoops it up and is like throwing it in the air, and he almost like falls on it, but like I don't know if it was supposed to fall or not. Maybe. But the turkey definitely was not supposed to fall. But like that moment where he puts his foot on the turkey and the camera just knew where to go.
Yes.
That's one of I think that one is like one of the best defining moments of comedy. If I was to like give one moment of like why it was special at that time for like improv moments or unexpected moments on the show, I suppose. Or also like when they lose the punchline of the sketch in the wishbone or whatever, the inside the turkey, and Jerry's like, if we didn't find the wishbone, you people would be turned into 11:30. You see this sweat dripping down? It's not spit, we're working. Like, that was so funny. I think some of the biggest screams came during that one episode where Dean pulls Jerry into the tub.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring that one up before the country bumpkin one.
The country bumpkin one. Like that's the probably one of the most risque moments in that you see some things that you're not supposed to see on 1950s television.
No.
So for those
of the bootay.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Jerry gets in the tub and then he gets out and his pants are so wet and tight on his body that his ass is literally like see-through.
It's
And,
there.
like the roar of the audience, and he's like, and he definitely knows that it's like I don't know if he like saw his see-through butt, but like
I don't think he could see.
the front part of it, like he knew it was hugging little Jerry. So he was pulling it down, but like I mean, it wasn't like a thing like, hey, I'm gonna go off stage because my junk is being shown to everybody. It was just like, I'll adjust and move on with the sketch, even though everybody got a show that night. And
I don't think he cared.
yeah, I don't think he cared. As
The censors might have cared.
Yeah,
I don't think he cared.
I'm pretty sure that I'm surprised that I mean, I guess we don't really know how much that was censored. And I've not come across anything that newspaper wise that was saying that episode was like censored or anything, but I mean could have been maybe like I mean they censored I mean other things obviously, but that one I think was probably the most
yeah, definitely
moment there.
an eyeful moment, yes. And then I was also thinking of the episode where Dean's doctor.
Yeah. Okay, but going back to we'll go back to the doctor moment in a moment, but like also when Dean almost or no, not Dean. Jerry pulls Dean into the bathtub and almost bites him or pretends to bite him in the ass. Like,
yeah, there was just tomfoolery all around.
Yeah, and along with the scrubbing didn't need to go into. Dean decided to like scrub in an area where he didn't need to scrub. Jerry,
no.
Like, why are you scrubbing down in that pelvic region, Dean? So there was that.
Galore.
It was just a very interesting choices that they made in that sketch. But yeah, like going back to the doctor one that you just mentioned, my favorite moment is where like Jerry or Dean tells Jerry to take his clothes off.
Yes.
Or he's like, take them
Yeah.
off. Like he sounds like so like I don't know why he said it that way. Like take them off.
Wasn't it take them all off?
Wait, take them all off or something.
Yes,
I think imitate it, but like it's perfect and dramatic.
And he like eyes up Jerry when he's doing it.
Yeah, and then Jerry starts strutting like a burlesque dancer striptease
moment, yeah.
And yeah, then he jumps into Dean's arms. It was it's a very
That's a good one.
very strutting, exciting time. And like the audience knew. I mean, back then they were just as excited, and they were in on the dirty moments.
Oh yeah,
they definitely were. And my favorite of all time is the whips and the chains moment.
Of course, iconic.
There's no other meaning. I don't know. I mean, you could say he's a slave, but like, that episode was one where Dean supposedly got really mad at Jerry, but in reality, that was just part. I think he probably did get a little pissy when like Jerry started pulling on his hair Because I mean, he kind of, because he was like, "You're carrying it too far, Jerry." But like in the TV movie, going to the TV movie for a moment, they made it seem like Jerry was just waiting on purpose, and it wasn't something that they had already set up ahead of time. Like they made it super dramatic, and like he had like plotted to take Dean down on live television. No, it's a sketch. It's a little bit. And Jerry just got a little too crazy playing with Dean's hair. But and when the camera, like in the face of Dean, like he got so close to Dean's face with the cameras and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that was all planned beforehand, because the setup where he says, like, I'm gonna get you, like, one way or another, you better like watch yourself, basically, is what he says. And they had done that in a sketch from like 4 years earlier with the spit takes, where they were like throwing buckets of water. So it was a usual thing in their act. So anybody saying that Jerry was like plotting to get Dean back is just stupid. But so that's when the whips and the chains thing comes up, because he's like, I don't mind in the room with the whips and the chains, but not in front of an audience. And like the roar of people like, ah! Oh, but not in front of the audience. Like, where was Jerry's mind going? There was the one, which is coming back to my other favorite sketch, which is the soda fountain sketch. So like Jerry is like throwing the canisters and like the tops, and like he accidentally threw one on Dean's head, and then Dean was like, take it easy, he's like laughing, but then Jerry like was like dodging and almost does it again. And like Dean was like, kind of seems like he's like not happy with that or whatever. I don't know why. And then like you can see like the moment where Jerry reacts to that, and like he stops. But yeah, I don't know what that was. That was a weird moment. But the whole rest of the sketch is absolutely hilarious, and we get the well, first of all, that's the moment where Jerry is discussing the ice cream and like all the toppings you can put on the ice cream. And he was like, nuts is good for the Johnson. That one like escaped me for a little bit until I understood what he was saying. And I was like, oh, Johnson is also a penis. I was like, I know what you're saying. You're sneaking in there. Because he like giggles to himself, and he like kind of just doesn't say it all the way through, but he he knows where he went dirty.
All I can think about is, it's not really dirty, but all I can think about is the episode where Dean can't see and he sits on Jerry.
And he poured hot coffee in Jerry's lap.
What's so funny? Dirty picture.
How about talk about dirty picture?
Well, that was brought up in multiple episodes, so that's
no, but like explain it.
I mean, can't they just
explain dirty picture? So Dean and Jerry, well, Jerry mostly would always come up with this during their their sections where they were just anything goes. So like the last 10 to 15 minutes, it was a common thing in their stage act. Like, I guess whenever they're trying to kill time or like a moment, or just Jerry would go up next to Dean's face and be like, dirty picture. And then, so it took me a while.
It means
Well, actually, Kayla had to explain it to me.
it actually has two meanings. The first meaning is that they used to have at different things like fairs and whatnot and carnivals. They used to have things where you'd go up and you'd look into them. I can't remember what they were called. My dad told me about them.
Well, like,
because when he was little,
like sometimes
he
they would have
was
naked ladies.
naked ladies in them, and they're like little viewpoints. You put in like a dime, and you were looking at porn.
Yeah.
And my dad told me about these things because at the fair, our fair, local fair, they used to have them, and like the 50s and stuff. And he was a little kid, and he went in and he did it, and he was like,
What?
naked lady,
naked people?
and yeah,
on his
like,
at carnivals, they just had this.
Yeah, they just had this. So that was like the first meaning, and then the double meaning of it is a vagina. I'll just say it. That's what it is.
There you go.
Look. That's what it is.
Well, I like that illustration.
And that was
okay.
That was what it was.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I didn't get. Well, I think I got the.
Did you know that was because I didn't actually really realize that this was like a popular thing that was just like available for children.
Well, remember, like in the episode at the arcade where Jerry's like looking, and then Dean's trying to stop him. He's like, "Wow!" And then he's like, "You're Junior. You're not supposed to be looking at that." And like, it's
kind of just there available for kids. Like you walk into a tent and you just like peep show. Woo, naked ladies.
Providing kids porn.
Basically.
That's just.
Because my dad said that.
What's to say to that? But yeah, like that came up a lot, and I had no idea about the second meaning, and Kayla had to explain it to me, and then my eyes were opened. Yes, it was an epiphany. I'm like, oh, that dirty picture. How about the time where Jerry sucks on Dean's finger?
I thought you were going to say something else. I was like, what? It's like, I don't remember that one.
Not on TV. No.
Not in front of an audience.
Not in front of an audience. No, so one of their final episodes happens in a pool room, and Jerry's like whistling, and Dean tries to stop him from whistling, so he like puts the finger in the hole. Yes. And then like Jerry's just continuing to blow a little on Dean's finger. While they look at each other, they look at each other in the eyes, and there's a lockdown of eyes as Jerry's just.
That was supposed to be like.
Dean almost laughs. Dean almost starts laughing and he has to take the finger away. That's
like. Well, that was a little bit gay. Glory hole.
or I mean other things besides that. Jerry liked
how about like any of the times they kissed?
Yeah. I was about to say Jerry liked sucking on things. In his act, and other visual,
Yes.
other random times later. This has nothing to do with Colgate Comedy Hour, but like,
No. He took a microphone, man.
yeah, he like downed a microphone all the way back, all the
He
way.
took it. He took a microphone.
He took a microphone. He took a Coke bottle.
Not the whole length
Not the
of
whole.
it,
Well,
though.
he was just sucking. It was
Yeah.
still. He knew what
The
he was doing.
microphone was.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jerry claimed like that Dean was the only one that wanted to work blue in the act, but no, we don't buy this. We don't buy this. There was the one part going outside of Colgate that was at their Copacabana show where they're talking about like taking this girl out. The girl's just not saying anything on stage, and like basically Dean, it's about like, hold on, let me think. It's about like checking. Oh, he's like, can I check my rubbers, please?
Oh, yes.
Dean was like, now why don't you leave them in the car like the other boys do? And like, it's like, they knew they wanted to work dirty a little bit. Jerry, was the one yelling.
Well, their live shows, I mean, they really did.
Jerry's the one yelling. Like there was like a radio. Well, we'll do another episode about their radio shows. But literally, Jerry's like, "Rim bam bam, kick him in the," like, right before the show to get the mood high. Of course, that was in the unedited, not censored. It was just that it was the rehearsal part, and so they would edit the show together. So a lot of what happened was the audience like screaming at the beginning of the show, and you're like wondering what were they doing before the show. But yeah, as like that one episode of their radio show that we only have obviously the audio for, like they would get dirty before the show. They had some fun moments to get the audience riled up and started for the rest of the show. I
mean, if you don't believe that they both weren't wanting to work dirty, just listen to the caddy bloopers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
the caddy bloopers where they're, they'll make you shit.
Yeah.
A lot of like that. I'm still amazed that people actually think that Dean and Jerry never cursed.
Or that people in the 1950s in general didn't. People think that, and I'm like, have you met my family?
Well, like my mom was like, it only came about in the 60s. Bad words only came about in the 60s, I guess.
Bam. This is the third book in the Anna Green Gables series, and they talk. This takes place in books start in the 1870s, and so this is like 9 years later. So we're in the 1880s, and Anne's like just talking about different people, and there's cursing in here and stuff like that. And this was written in the 1910s, 1900s, 1910s.
Yeah.
Damn.
The F word was like started like in the way hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
I forget who exactly started it, but yeah. Because like, so they think that like people were just pure and innocent always. I mean, and as showcased,
this is how censored
yeah,
the TVs are. movies.
Me and Kayla have an episode of music coming up on our same YouTube channel here, where we discuss naughty songs and censored music and all sorts of dirty songs from the 1920s all the way to today. So, on the subject of dirtiness, of foul language and censored material, let's talk about the prison episode.
Well, I mean, that right there, just the fact that they're in prison is enough. Jailhouse Rock, am I right, folks?
Well, okay, so I didn't know
we should have used that song.
Yeah. Tell people, because maybe they're like me and don't know that Jailhouse Rock has a different meaning.
How does they not know? Just look at the lyrics.
No, just tell them. Maybe they're like me and just have innocent.
I don't know the lyrics off the top of my head, but I'm really come on, Jailhouse Rock lyrics. I did not spell any of that right, but
okay. Well, while she
lyrics
searches for Jailhouse Rock lyrics, so like Dean and Jerry are in prison, and Jerry's the new guy in prison, and Jerry's character was often criticized back then for being effeminate, which was, a lot of critics didn't like that. They didn't want the gay vibes at all.
Okay, it's here. Number 47 said to number 3, "You're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I sure would be delighted with your company. Come on and do the Jailhouse Rock with me." Hello.
Listen and interpret the lyrics. I just listened along with the song, but yeah,
you're a pretty boy. I sure would like your company. Gee whiz, what could it mean?
So yes, the sketch is the Jailhouse Rock of the Colgate Comedy Hour episodes. So my favorite part is where Jerry's like covering himself up because he thinks the guards are gonna see through while he's changing, and he's like,
yes.
And then Jerry's bed falls down on top of Dean because they're in bunk beds, and his bed comes
in bunks, of course.
Here, and he's like, "What are you doing?" "I was lonesome." And Jerry, was his whole character was very. He made it. Yeah, he took it up a notch and being more.
He was number 3.
he took it up a notch, and I think that's where they were saying his fey interpretations and his effeminate interpretations are distasteful to us, basically, is what
he was number 3 who did number 5. Sorry, I don't make that joke. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you?
Kind of, yes. Anyway, we're talking dirty. Or how about any time that there was licking?
That's a lot.
There's a lot of licking.
There's a lot. Episode that just made me think of the episode where they're children with the ice cream cones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So one of our favorite episodes is the ice cream sketch, the kids sketch, where
I like you.
Dean buys ice cream cones, and Dean and Jerry are both supposed to be kids. And that's one of the most hilarious ones because, like, Dean actually, Dean buys an ice cream cone for Jerry. At first, they're fighting, but then they make up and then they're friends. And then when Dean buys Jerry an ice cream, he's like, "An ice cream? For me, I should have it?" He's like, oh, "I like you." Like, it's like so cute. And it's a cute moment, but also it's like a very innocent gay moment or whatever. Like, and then like Jerry, we call this the golden cone
Yes.
moment because of the ice cream and the yes, ice cream. Because there's no reason to lick another man's face, even if it does have ice cream in it. So, Jerry was licking Dean's face in that one, and another episode completely separate of that, Dean was licking Jerry's face for no reason. Like, Jerry was really sweaty, and Dean just decides to take a lick.
Yep.
So for some reason, they like licking each other's faces, and
I'm just kidding. Sorry, I just thought I had a thought in my head. I won't say it out loud this time.
The one where they're in the department store, and the person, so like there's somebody who's trying to sell them a kiddie pool, and also, but okay, so like there's like no employees in the store, or like the guy leaves his clay sculpture or whatever there, and Jerry takes a look at it, and he decides to play with it and like mold it into different things. And he definitely, well, I mean, it probably could have, like, I think it was something, I'm pretty sure he was molding a penis, because
Yeah.
it could have been like,
Phallic.
Yes, it's very phallic. I mean, it could be a cigarette, but I didn't know. By the way, Dean was like losing it over there, while Jerry was. Dean couldn't even like look. He was just like totally losing it. And then I think Jerry noticed that what it looked like, and he tried to like. I mean, I know what he was trying to do, and then he tried to hide it a little bit because people were he should have left that. He should have done that again, because he does the same thing later in the Bellboy. Yeah, it's the Bellboy. He does that one, and he molds it into, that one looks like a cigarette more than what Jerry created on the Colgate Comedy Hour episodes there. That's a penis.
I can tell you what my least favorite one is.
Yeah.
Just because it involves, my least favorite one is the one where he's pretending to be I can't even say it. I was going to say mushmouth. Where he's pretending just because it's that concept. Like,
why is that your least favorite though? Because he's making fun of him.
But just because it deals with him, and I'm like, okay. That's how much I don't like him.
So actually, that's one of my. I like that moment, and like Dean is like pretending to be Edward R. Murrow, and Jerry's pretending to be, or imitating, Marlon Brando or Harlan Sando in this episode, Or as me and Kayla like to
Yes.
refer to him as Mushmouth. Because we're going off on a tangent here, but like so like in a review about the Young Lions, wasn't it? I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. So Marlon Brando never really articulates his words, and you know, he's supposed to be a great actor, but you know, we can't understand what he's saying. And the Young Lions, it has a German accent. What he's saying, I don't know. Was it a stretch for him to play the Godfather with the cotton balls in his mouth? Not much. And Frank Sinatra referred to him as the mumbler. The mumbler. So that's why we call and so like the reviewer of the Young Lions movie says, he who speaks mush mouth ease. So there you go. That's where Mushmouth was born.
I feel like we bring him up, and like every single time I talk, I'm just like, I can't help it. I associate that so much with Dean, I guess, because you know Dean.
Yeah. So and Jerry does an excellent imitation of it. Both Dean and Jerry do like excellent imitations. I love when Dean is just like has his leg up and like is just staring at Jerry, and then Jerry starts laughing, and then Dean is like smoking like a chimney, like Edward R. Murrow does.
Yes.
And then like I think actually Marlon Brando Mushmouth did not take too kindly to Jerry's imitation of him.
No.
And, yeah. Apparently, now of course, like the book that I read, I don't know if I exactly believe everything that happened there because it's a little. I think it was by the Darwin S. Porter guy. It might have been. I don't believe his stuff really. That our author, he's kind of a trash writer, one of those trash writers. But I think it's accurate that they didn't get along, and probably that imitation is why. But obviously, I think Dean and Mushmouth got along.
Not really.
Well, I mean, like
better than
Mushmouth like Dean more than Jerry. And according to the book, like he was like trying to help Dean with acting or something.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, but then Mushmouth didn't like Montgomery Clift, so they didn't really get along either. Their improvisation and the way they carried the whole show, I think, helped later shows deal with that, and the spontaneity, to like have spontaneity, and you know, the spontaneity I think was the key to the whole thing as opposed to the writing. I know Norman Lear and Ed Simmons got upset that when they left, that I can understand that, but I don't think their writing was key to the show.
No.
When Harry Crane and Arthur Phillips took over, I barely noticed. I kind of noticed a difference, but I mean, it didn't really affect the episodes to me.
Yeah, I don't really think I did either. I think the episodes were just Dean and Jerry.
Yeah.
You know, like
I don't think there was anything necessarily funny about the writing. Like there were some funny parts, yes, occasionally, but like it was the improvisational moments that were the why the show was good, why the show was great, and why people loved their connection. It's the connection.
Yeah, the connection. I was just gonna say. I was gonna say it's also their chaotic energy that they brought with them.
Yeah, their connection. They're caring about each other. Whether you believe that is a friendship thing or something, some other sort of love connection between them, like whatever you want to believe, there, like they still had a connection no matter what.
Yeah,
and that was why people watch them or any good show for that matter. Like
chemistry.
Yeah, they tuned in for the chemistry. So it wasn't. So I think while Norman Lear and Ed Simmons are great writers, great comedy writers, they weren't necessary for that show and that magic necessarily, because most of the time, like a lot of the stuff was that last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of them just doing their act.
Yeah.
A lot of the best stuff happened during that. And like a lot of the jokes didn't always, the written jokes that they were supposed to say didn't always come off, but Dean and Jerry played it off. Like the thing where Jerry is Sherlock Fink. And he has like the detective, like the shirt that like it's like the detective or what, I don't even know, I forget what it was, but he has the shirt with the joke and it's not, nobody laughed. So like Dean was like, is this spelled right? And then Jerry's like, yeah, and then he's like, okay, it's the joke then. So like I don't even know what the like. I didn't see it as funny either, but like Dean and Jerry were just great at pulling it off, no matter if something was funny or not. They were like one of the first to like physically touch each other and be so comfortable with each other.
Yeah, I mean, like the one where they practically are making out.
Oh, where
Jerry jumps in and they're like,
oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of kissing. There's a lot of kissing. But there
was kissing, and then there was that moment.
There was a moment in the closet.
Oh yes.
Where they're like talking like this close to each other, and their lips and noses are touching.
They turn into each other.
Like, I'm like, I know that they put these moments in their sketches, and people want to make it seem like Dean was uncomfortable in like, and it's like Dean did these things on his own.
Yeah, Dean was not uncomfortable. It's
if you ever look at the Olympic telethon thing, like Dean was like putting his hands on Jerry's.
I was thinking of that. So yeah, they were kind of like, in some ways, they were like two boys. Like when I say boys, I mean like little kids hanging out together, being dumb.
Yeah,
they had that sort of camaraderie to them, but there's just so many layers, so many layers.
And when people try to say that, hey, they stole their act from other comedians, and some of them were like saying that they stole it from certain African American comedians. Those guys, like, sure, there was certain elements of their act that were there, but like Dean and Jerry literally took little pieces of every comic, sketch, act, but they also put
It's-
themselves in it. That's what comedy is. You take
that's just what entertainment period is.
Yeah.
Because there's no one out there that is 100% never touched, so you know, like anyone is not 100% never been done at all ever before, because there's always someone that came before them that did something similar. But that doesn't, just because it's similar doesn't mean that they stole it. It's called influence.
Some jokes were just staples that everybody used.
Yeah.
Like the one joke where Jerry like looks in his inside of his jacket and like pretends like he doesn't know where he's at.
Yeah.
That's used by other people too. I mean, it's just certain jokes are interpreted different by different people. And then like, you know, basically, I mean, if anything is written by someone else besides yourself, you're kind of, it's not, you're borrowing from their creative process anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jerry and
well, it's like people that do cover songs. They do cover songs of another person's song, but they make it their own. It's the same concept.
Yeah, and like those, there was a certain reason, like sure, like those performers, those African American performers especially, they didn't get popular because partly because of their race and the time that they were working, and they weren't on television. Like it was just, but you also have to realize a lot of white performers didn't make it either. But it's also is because of luck and that team's, how special that team was.
Yeah.
Oh, and their talent. You know, like, and Jerry said many times, like there's hundreds of other guys that could do this and do the same act that we do. There's nothing special about that necessarily, but it's the way that we feel about each other and our chemistry together, basically, is what he said there. That was the important stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I was saying before. It has to do with their relationship and the chemistry and the, you know, the chaos that was them compared to other people.
Mm-hmm. And like
they made it their own.
Yeah, and Dean and Jerry were one of the only ones. Every time they hosted, they were rivaling Ed Sullivan. They were like the only guys to do that. Like I think Colgate Comedy Hour like got good ratings otherwise, but Dean and Jerry were the ones who were the highest.
Locked it in. Yeah.
The same reason why they were the only comedians, comedic team to do well, just as well as a solo. Like of course, Lou Costello died, and you know, but Bud Abbott didn't do anything on his own.
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy didn't do anything on their own. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby don't count because they were never an official thing.
Yeah.
They were already solo artists before. So we're going to end this episode. There's tons more to talk about.
So much.
It won't take us another year to do another episode because we're like, we're gonna do another episode, and it took us like a year, literally a year to come back. In the meantime, I was doing other things with other people, but yeah, it's still me and you a year to come back. But no, we're gonna do it something soon, very soon. See you later. Bye.
You worked and made me a star, dear. In spite of it all, I love you.